I'm legally insane, and today I'm wearing an adult-sized diaper. Extra absorbent, premium brand only. I suggest you do the same, because I'm about to show you 10 Nintendo Switch games to play for this Halloween, or any Halloween for that matter. And some of these games you've never heard of before. And you're going to wish you had a diaper on. So this is the only warning you're going to get. Let's get started. We're going to try to get through 10 games in around 10 minutes. Might go over, might not. I'm legally insane. I don't know. I don't have a clock. I'm not keeping track, and I don't have a script. First up is a digital-only game. Get your guns out. Get ready to blow your balls off. Put the diaper on, and have 911 ready on speed dial. Alisa for the Nintendo Switch or Xbox. I think it's on PS4 and PS5. And rumor has it, I believe a physical version's coming out. That's what I heard. Rumor. May or may not have already had news out that that's coming out, but I did hear that, believe it or not. I heard that Premium Edition Games is going to be releasing it. So keep that on your radar. October 28th may or may not be the day. If you like Resident Evil, in particular Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, you will love Alisa. It is a survival horror just like Resident Evil. In fact, the entire game is an homage to Resident Evil. It takes place in a different era, an older generation, Victorian-style era. So the weapons are a little bit different. They are Victorian-style weapons. And just like Resident Evil, you are trapped within a Victorian-style mansion. So both games, you are trapped in a mansion. They are both survival horrors with mystery elements and puzzles to be solved. There are pre-rendered backgrounds. There are tank controls, but hold on a minute. The tank controls are optional. You don't need them. If you really want that retro style to match the 90s style graphics and 90s style gameplay, pre-rendered backgrounds, go ahead, use them. But I know a lot of people hate tank controls these days, and that's what's the beautiful thing about this game. 100% optional. You want normal controls, just go into the settings, make sure that you select that setting before you start your game, because you are given that option before you begin. Everything from swords to submachine guns. You want a nostalgic trip to the 90s with some creepy, horrific stuff going on? Check that game out right now.
Excuse me.
Next up, we got a real horrific gem, guys. Alien Isolation. You can get this on your Xbox 360. Pretty sure PS3 has it. PC has it. This happens to be the Nintendo Switch edition. It has all of the DLC. Alien Isolation, the collection. I'm a Nintendo Switch guy. If you're watching this video, you likely have a Nintendo Switch. Now, this game here, I'm going to be honest with you. I myself. And I haven't touched it since. I've been too scared. I have a buddy that beat this game, and he said, and he beat it back in the day when the graphics were like top of the line back then. It would have been even scarier back then. But he said it took him a while. He had to take breaks from playing it. He had to hype himself up every time he went to play it, turn it back on, and try to beat the game. He beat the game. This is a very famous game. It's one of the scariest games ever made. You make one little noise, those aliens can hunt you down. There's aliens everywhere. They are looking to track you down. You make one tiny little noise, and you just never know. So everything you do has a risk reward to it. Everything you do, because you might make noise and it might get you killed. Those things are hunting you down. You're constantly hiding. They could be in the vents. They could be on the same level as you. You might see them walk past you. They might be underneath you. They could be anywhere at any time. So at certain times, you might be able to make some noise because they're a little bit too far away, but you just never know. Very famous game. It's a 10 out of 10. If you like that sort of thing, check that one out.
We think we may have found her, Amanda.
Next up, we got a personal favorite of mine, Tokyo Dark Remembrance. I mentioned this recently in a recent video of mine. It got average reviews at best, I think. Some people love it. Some people think it's, not the best. It's definitely not bad. It's a point-and-click visual novel game. They tried to mix and mash two genres together. And you might be asking yourself, well, how the hell does that work? Because I asked myself the same question. I bought the game blind. I thought it sounded, I was very intrigued. I bought it blind. Within the first 5 minutes, I knew what I had. And this game here is a hidden gem, and it is a masterpiece in my opinion. There are multiple endings. There's only one true ending. What I suggest doing is playing the game through once and then checking out the rest of the endings on YouTube, especially the true ending. And now this game here, this can drive you legally insane. Your character can go legally insane. I am legally insane. You can literally drive your own character legally insane because there are different stats in this game, and one of them is your insanity. And yes, you can drive your character to the level of -100 insanity, and you will get an ending that matches your insanity level. I can't reveal what that is, but this has definitely become one of my all-time favorites. The point-and-click aspect is fairly simple, so it's not like it's a simplified version of a point-and-click game, meaning it tells you what you can click on. So you can't click on everything. You're not collecting items in your inventory. It's a simplified version, but you do get to run around, click on things. But the visual novel aspect comes in because it's all about the story. If you're not in it for the story, this probably isn't going to be the game for you. I don't want to reveal too much. All I'm going to say is play it for 5 minutes. Maybe watch a review as long as there's no spoilers, and then decide for yourself. I was sold within the first 5 minutes. Middle is a little bit slow. You gotta force yourself through the middle. Strong beginning, strong ending, made up for it in the end. Everybody's going to get a different outcome. Everybody's going to get a different story and a different ending on their first playthrough. That's another thing I love about it. I happen to have gotten a good ending. If you get a really terrible ending, I feel bad for you. It's going to ruin your experience probably. But just go on YouTube. Unfortunately, you're going to have to play through it again or go on YouTube and watch the other endings. Next up, we got a gem of a Halloween game, guys. You like running guns, you like shooters, first-person shooters, you like Doom, you like Hexen 64, one of the best shooters of all time, 2-player co-op campaign, and 64. Throw that one in the console. Hell, turn this video off, go play Hexen 64, and then come back and watch the rest later. Hexen 64, 2-player campaign, underrated gem. Well, you know what? I bought Dusk because it reminded me of Hexen. I've been looking for a new Hexen game for many years now. They stopped making Hexen games. So this is the closest you're going to get to Hexen. I didn't want Doom. I want Hexen. I'm a Hexen guy. Doom's great, but Hexen's where it's at, which means Dusk is where it's at. This is a first-person shooter, horror-style shooter. It's basically Hexen, but advanced. With retro-style graphics. I should have specified that. This is a retro-style first-person shooter in the Doom style. I'd rather play Dusk than Doom. I think it's underrated. A lot of people to this day still don't know about it. I think it's a great Halloween game. A little bit more Halloween-y than a Doom would be. Some people would say play Doom on Halloween because you're fighting some demons from hell. Well, how about you check this game out instead? Next up, we got a real fun 2-player game. You're bringing over a buddy for Halloween? This is the game you want to play. Do you like football? Do you and your buddy like football? Hell, even if your buddy don't like football, and even if you don't like football, you're going to like this game, Mutant League Football Dynasty Edition. There's also Mutant League Hockey for Sega Genesis. You might want to check that one out too. But this is Mutant League Football. This is the sequel to the Sega Genesis Mutant League Football. Very similar game. May or may not be rare. I did predict that this would probably become a rare game at some point. This particular version includes all of the DLC, physical version. So the beautiful thing about this football game is that you don't really need to know anything about football, because this is all about killing your opponent and picking crazy Mutant League football plays. There's going to be landmines on the field. There's going to be sandworms that come up and kill your players. Half your players are going to be dying. When you are literally going to have your team, your players being killed on the field.
MFL is an action-packed arcade-style football game where monsters and mutants compete on the gridiron by racking up the most points or racking up the kill count to force a forfeit. The MFL has a roster of acclaimed all-stars made up of skeletal deadheads, monstrous orcs, bruiser bots, mutated humans, and criminal aliens. And these guys can unleash some serious carnage on the gridiron.
Each of your players have different stats and skills. That's another really unique thing about the game. That carries over from the Sega Genesis game as well. Some of your players are really weak. Some of them are really strong. Some of them are really dumb. Everything plays a role. It's all about picking these crazy plays. You can get a freaking shotgun and just start blowing people up. There's offensive plays, defensive plays. In the Sega Genesis one, for example, you could bribe the referee. You could just bribe. That's your play. That's your play. You just bribe him, and he'll call a penalty on the other team. The other team will lose 5 yards. There's a great defensive play, but you can't over abuse the plays too. They balance it out. You can't just constantly bring out a shotgun and start blowing the guy up while you're running with the football, right? There's usually some sort of limit, some sort of cap, some sort of cooldown period, and it's just a really, really fun time. It's not really about playing football. It's about having a good time with your buddy. You can play a single player too. There's a campaign, and you build your team with some RPG elements and grow their stats over time. But that's a really fun game that you would want to play with a buddy on Halloween Day. You're giving out the candy to kids, bring a friend over, have a good time, order a pizza.
But if you want chainsaws, we've got them. Want shotguns? Got those too. MFL has 18 gruesome teams with unique playfields. Not unique like this. I mean like this. MFL delivers truly distinctive play experiences on every single field, which are filled with diabolical traps and hazards. Oh! That's what you call getting your morning buzz on.
Speaking of great two-player co-op games, we got Zombies Ate Your Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol. These are Super Nintendo games, which I own both of them, right behind me. Super Nintendo games on the converted over to the Nintendo Switch. So you're going to get a couple of added bonuses just because it's on the Switch, such as save states. But there's always been passwords in this game anyway. But save states are nice because you can save your weapons. What I love about this game is that it's a run and gun. You're running around saving hostages, you're running around the levels shooting zombies, and there's like 10,000 different weapons that you can get. You're going to have to share the items, because you can't share your weapon. So if I pick up a certain weapon, that's in my inventory. Same with health packs, medical kits, that's my item. So you got to kind of balance who's going to get what. And, this game although it's a cooperative game and you're generally going to be communicating fairly well, like let's go this way, let's go that way. Sometimes if you're playing with a new player, especially who hasn't played before, it can lead to a fist fight. Sometimes you can get frustrated because I'll give you an example, like level 4, 5, or 6, can't remember which one. One of those levels, there's going to be some guys with chainsaws right off the bat. Right off the bat, they're going to have chainsaws. You're going to be trapped in a maze. A hedge maze. And those guys with chainsaws are coming to kill you, and they're going to chase you, and they're going to hunt you down, and they ain't going to stop. Every time I get to that level, I tell my buddy that I'm with, I say, okay, this level, there's going to be guys with chainsaws chasing us. I need you to run. I need you to follow me. Just start running, don't stop. And you always get some idiot who starts running, but he stops. He stops running, or he doesn't keep up with you. Or he thinks he can fight. Or he thinks he can fight the chainsaw guy. We can't fight him, but you can freeze him. But maybe your buddy's the only one with the freeze weapon, and that idiot doesn't know that you gotta spam the freeze button until he finally freezes. You just tap it once, it ain't good enough. So you're screaming at him, and he's trying to, he slows down. Hey, how about we take, let's think about which direction we should turn. Maybe we should turn left. No, there's no time to think about what direction you need to turn. You just need to start running. I told you that from the start. I said, freaking step one, I said, you just start running and you don't stop. If you stopped running, you've already messed up. So sometimes it can lead to a fist fight, but it is a great 2-player co-op game. One of my favorites. I highly recommend it. Next up, we got Castlevania Collection. This should be a no-brainer. Every Halloween should have Castlevania on the list. As to which one, a lot of people will tell you Castlevania X. I don't think Castlevania X is on this particular version, and therefore, by default, I've got a couple of suggestions. By default, Castlevania 1, you can never go wrong with Castlevania 1. But there's better games than Castlevania 1. Castlevania 4, Super Nintendo, it's on here. And Castlevania Bloodlines, Sega Genesis. And you know what? I'm going to tell you straight up. Just go for Castlevania Bloodlines, Sega Genesis. It's the less common one. A lot of people didn't get the opportunity to play that one. It's a little bit more rare. Everybody knows about the Super Nintendo one. Everybody's played the Super Nintendo one. But a lot of people never got the opportunity to find out about that masterpiece known as Castlevania Bloodlines. Myself included. I didn't know about it back in the day. It's right up there. Some people tell you it's in the top 3 Castlevania games. Top 3. That's significant. That says something. Play each one for 5 minutes even. Then you got plenty of time for other games. You got a lot of options. Sit back, relax. Don't get too stressed out. Take a break from those horror games you've been playing. Those games. Take a break from Alien Isolation. Change your diaper, throw in some Castlevania. Great opportunity to slow down and go and have a diaper change. Number 9, we got Carry On. This is a very famous game where you play as the bad guy. You are the monster. You are the monster. You are killing and slaughtering the humans, which is very rare. Most of the time you're fighting the monsters, right? Or you're running from the monsters. You're running from the alien. You are always the human trying to save the world from the vampires. You're burning those witches. Right? You're staking those vampires. You're blowing the heads off those zombies. But in Carry On, it's different. You are a monster, and you can eat humans to grow bigger, and you can also get smaller. So if you take damage, you can get smaller, and you will need to be both big and small. Being small has advantages in that you can get through certain areas that you couldn't if you were a little bit too large. Catches, it's a bit of a short game, but hey, maybe that's a good thing. If you really wanted to, you could beat the whole game in one night. That's another beautiful thing about this game. Maybe you only want to play one game on Halloween. You want to sink 4 or 5 hours in, you might beat the game. 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. One night, baby. In this game, you are a tentacled monster, and you are making your way throughout a facility, basically crawling through vents and sneaking up on your enemies, which are the humans, and you're slaughtering the scientists and the soldiers. So you could take damage, and they can fight back. So you want to be a little bit stealthy in some regards, right? You want to sneak up on him and kill him when possible. This unknown creature that you play as also has a bit of a story to go with it. Okay, so you are this entity only known as the monster. But it's not a mindless game without a story. You are going to encounter materials that upon entering will trigger flashbacks revealing more about the origins of this creature. I think it makes for a really great Halloween game. And a little bit of a twist from what you would normally play, because you are the monster, and not very many games do you actually get to be the bad guy. Next up, we got another personal favorite of mine. I mentioned this one before as well. Oxenfree, bit of a rare game. Limited Run Games number 10. They're actually turning this into a TV series. I believe it's going to be on Netflix. They even, at one point, were going to turn it into a movie. It's a narrative-driven game, no combat. You're just walking around, exploring, and you're constantly making choices, dialogue choices. You don't have very much time to make the choices either, so you better pick quick. And choices can affect the story, and they can affect your ending, and they affect your likability, for lack of better wording, with the other characters. So a lot of replayability here too, multiple different endings, all depending on your choices. But guess what? It's like 4 or 5 hours to complete, so you could complete it in one sitting. Some people do, and some people have. And if you're a fast reader and you select the choices quickly, and you could actually complete the game a little bit faster as well. But it is very spooky. There is a lot of paranormal activity going on. I really don't want to give anything away because it's very easy to get spoilers. You got to be very, very careful with this. I went into it blind. I didn't know anything. There's a couple of jump scares. I really liked that about the game as well. Some freaky stuff happens, and some freaky paranormal and very spooky stuff is going on. May or may not involve some ghosts. May or may not be some dead people. I don't know what's going on. And I'm not going to tell you, even if I did know what was going on. Highly recommend it regardless. There's also a sequel, Oxenfree 1 and 2. This is Oxenfree, forgot to mention the title. It has a cool little art book. Oh, as you can see, it's already in my console as we speak. Next up, we have a game so scary it's given me nightmares for the past 6 months, and I only played it for 5 minutes. It also happens to be on sale right now as we speak. Prison Life Simulator Dash Gangster Escape Games Scary Architect Battle. I mean, if that name alone doesn't scream terrible, worst game ever made, I don't know how else to help you. It's on sale for $2.99 Canadian dollars. That's probably like $1.99 US. I paid 69 cents for it. It was on sale for 69 cents. When a game that is supposed to be $19.99 goes on a sale for 69 cents, you know it's bad. And a bad game can truly be the most horrific and terrifying game of them all. Do not underestimate how scary a bad game can be. This game has given me PTSD. This is, in fact, I'm going to tell you right now, I think this might be the worst game ever made. But admittedly, I only played it for about 5 or 10 minutes. So maybe it gets better at the end. But I also went to prison. I went to prison for 6 years. I celled up with a guy named Chocolate Thunder. Within the first 2 minutes, I was already getting flashbacks. Flashbacks to a time when I dropped the soap by mistake. The smart prisoners, they get soap on a rope. You tie it around your neck. You make sure you never drop the soap. Well, I dropped the soap. It was horrible. There was 10 of them. I lost count after 10, actually. I lost count. Oh, they were lined up. They were lined up. Oh, gosh. Oh, it was hours and hours of pain and torture. And I never dropped that soap ever again. That was the last time. I ordered soap on a rope. You can find it on Amazon. It's good soap. You ain't gonna drop it because you hold on to that rope. I will put a link in the description below for that soap on a rope. If you have a cousin, an uncle who's in prison, send them that soap on a rope as a good Christmas gift. They will love you for it. Guaranteed. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers, on my way to collecting over 9,000 retro video games and Nintendo Switch games here on this channel. I do everything from retro to modern I do a little bit of everything. I love the Nintendo Switch. I love the NES. I love the Super Nintendo. I love the Wii U. I love the Wii, PS3, Xbox 360, OG Xbox, PS1, PS2. I got a little bit of everything. I'm not just doing Switch.
Rolling through the city with a pocket full of cash. Xbox 360, prices climbing fast. Got my eye on F-113, gonna cop it real quick. But I got to hustle hard, the prices are real. Yo, mom's the plug, she got the hook up, no lie. At the 7-Eleven dumpster, I buy and buy. Splatterhouse, Blue Dragon, got them in my stash. Buying red games from your mom, what I want, she has.